السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسول النبي الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قال الله تعالى في شان حبيبه: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. صلوا عليه صلاة وسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. صلاة وسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. Today is the 14th of Rajab, so we're basically almost half done with the month already. Of course, next month is Sha'ban and then Ramadan. So, as I mentioned last week, Rajab signifies the coming of Ramadan. And Rajab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to it in the Quran as His month. Even though they're all His months, but He specifies this one. And as we mentioned last week also, this is the month of the birth of Sayyidina Ali, Karamallahu wajh. And on the 13th, so yesterday, the 13th of Rajab, is the birth of Ali, radiallahu anhu. And we spoke a little bit about him, kind of connecting it to the environment that we live in today. I want to speak more about him, and more about him more specifically. He or his coming into this world is the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was born inside of the Kaaba, and Imam Hakim says that this is known through muwatarat. This is basically common. This was common knowledge then. Easy way to put it. That no one disputed in the past. You always have people that dispute everything over time. He is, according to Abu Sayyid Khudri radiallahu anhu, the first to recite the kalma of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the message came, we know that the first to accept was the wife of Rasulullah, so Bibi Khadijatul Kubra radiallahu anha. But after her was Sayyidina Ali, Karamallahu wajh. A lot of people try to downplay it because they say, oh, he was only 10 years old, he was a minor. But his brilliance, shines even in this. Because when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes with the message, Ali radiallahu says that he wants to accept. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, go and ask your father's permission. So he goes. But he realizes, there's a saying in here in English that it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. If you ask for permission and someone says no, then what do you do? If you just do something and someone's upset with you later, then you can always say, well, I didn't know. But Ali didn't have the option of simply asking for forgiveness later because Rasulullah specified go and get permission. So he goes and he asks his father. He didn't say, can I become Muslim? He simply asked, he says, can I follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And his father says, follow him wherever he leads you because he will never take you astray. Permission granted. So he comes and he asks, and he So again, he is the first to recite the kalma. He is the first to pray salat behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is also the first to have the name of Ali. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the first to have the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even though around the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there were 4 or 5 people whose parents named them Muhammad. Before this, no one ever named their children Muhammad, because the definition of Muhammad is the one who is highly, extremely, infinitely praised. And we say in every salat, every time we recite Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that all praise is for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Muhammad is a derivative of Hamd. This is why the Arabs never touched this name until the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ali, as we also know, Al-Ali is the name of Allah, the High. Again, no one amongst the Arabs had this name before Ali, and who gave him this name other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's known by 3 major names. His mother named him Haider, lion, because he was the lion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at his birth named him Ali. There's his uncle, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the father of Ali, Hazrat Abu Talib, asked him, what do we name him? He said, name him Ali. Later, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the one who gave him the title of Abu Turab, father of dust, which for Ali was the most beloved name to him, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred to him by this name, the father of dust. And the background to that is, and the hadith is in Sahih Muslim, Sa'al ibn Sa'ad radiallahu, very close companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was asked, by Marwan or his offspring, that, why don't you curse Ali? Because of course Banu Umayyah, this was common, it was part of the Jummah khutbah to curse him. Said, why don't you curse Ali? He says, I will never curse him. He said, then at least say, Allah's curse be on Abu Turab. And Sa'ad, he laughs. He says, you use this name about him like something demeaning. And yet this name was most beloved by Ali. And then he gives the background to why, because he says, once Ali, he had some conversation with his wife, Fatima Salamullah alayha, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they had, they didn't agree on something, so he leaves. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes to the house and says, where is your uncle's son? Meaning, where is Ali radiallahu anhu? And she says, well, we had some words and he left. Where does he find him? In the masjid. He had gone to the masjid, laid down, fallen asleep. And of course the masjids then were not carpeted. The roof in the masjid of Rasulullah, when it would rain, would leak. And we know from the hadith that on the night of Laylatul Qadr, one night it rained and Rasulullah was prostrating in mud. So he's laying on this barren ground, and all of the dust is on him. And Rasulullah is waking him up as he's wiping off the dust and saying, "Oh, father of dust, oh Abu Turab, get up." And this is why this name is the most loved name of Ali, to Ali, because his beloved gave it to him. when Islam comes, and as we know, for the first 3 years, the propagation is secret. So only those very close to Rasulullah were even aware of what was really going on. You know, Quraysh had their ideas. They knew something was different, but, you know, it wasn't affecting them at this point, so they didn't care. After 3 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the verse in Surah Shu'ara, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ, that invite those that are near to you. Aqrab, you know, close relatives. This is the famous incident where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam climbs up upon Safa and he calls them. And of course, unfortunately, most of us, when we think he called everybody. He didn't call everybody. He called Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib, because the order is called the ones that are close. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is from Banu Hashim, and Banu Muttalib is the cousin clan that always supported Banu Hashim. So he calls these two clans. This is, you know, of course, when Abu Lahab comes running, and then he's upset. You know. And when he makes his comment, all the rest of everybody else also disperses. So afterwards, and cutting things short, you know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says to his uncle, Hazrat Abu Talib, that arrange a gathering, a feast, and invite them. So Ali radiallahu was involved in the arrangements. Hazrat Abu Talib paid for the whole arrangement. And all of these people are invited. The sunnah is to feed the people first and then speak to them. The problem these days is if you feed the people first and no one listens, because everybody leaves. So, you know, everybody is fed, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is about to speak, and Abu Lahab, he sees what's about to happen, so he stands up and starts talking. Just nonsense. So nothing happened that day. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, arrange it again. So the next day the same feast is arranged. Same thing. People are fed, and as soon as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is about to speak, Abu Lahab starts talking. Third day, again, the feast. And now, before they finish eating, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam starts speaking. So Abu Lahab doesn't get his opportunity to butt in. And he says to them, he says, you know, he invites them to Islam, and he says, who amongst you will be my brother in this mission? And no one responds. Just silence. You know, that awkward silence. And so Ali Karamallahu Wajh, who at this time is 13, he stands up. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though I am the youngest amongst them, and I am the weakest amongst them, before Islam, and before, you know, he had the opportunity to shine, Ali, if you looked at him, you know, just looked like a weak little young boy. So that's what he's saying. He says, I am the youngest amongst them, and I am the weakest amongst them, but I will be your brother in this effort. And all the rest of them chuckled. You know, they all got a laugh. That these two are going to change the world. And we now see that these two changed the world. You know, we could talk for hours, and we don't have hours. But I'm just going to hit certain points. When Hijrah time came, and we all know who slept in the bed of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, with the expectation of Quraysh attacking, Ali radiallahu anhu. Of course, after Hijrah, Badr comes. Before the Battle of Badr, Zulfiqar came. Zulfiqar, we know the history, was actually the gift from Bilqis to Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then those descendants of Sulaiman alayhi salam who came and accepted Islam at the hands of Rasulullah gave Zulfiqar to him as a gift. He handed it over to Ali. In the Battle of Badr, 70 of the kuffar are killed. The leaders of kuffar, the big wigs, they're all killed. Of those 70, Ali radhiyallahu killed 36 by himself. He helped in another 13. So 49, he either killed or was involved in killing. The remaining 21 for the other 312 soldiers and 5,000 angels that came. And this is why Ubaydullah ibn Utbah ibn Abdullah, Ubaydullah ibn Utbah ibn Abbas, who is the nephew of Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, Ali was Badr, kullu Badr. He was it. And as far as kullu, we all know, and we know the famous hadith of Rasulullah that cleanliness is half of Iman. I mean, it's fairly commonly known. Cleanliness is half of Iman. But what most of us don't know is that in the Battle of Khandaq, when Amr bin Abdul crossed the trench, and he calls out that who is there who's ready to go to Jannah? I will send him to Jannah. Sarcastically saying this to the Muslims. Amr, undefeated, champion of Quraysh. He came in Badr, but he was injured. And when he saw the condition in Badr, he didn't take part in the fight. He was an intelligent man from that standpoint. He knew, but his intelligence will end here in Khandaq. He crosses, and again, he makes the announcement. And Ali radhiyallahu is sitting with Rasulullah and stands up, and Rasulullah says, oh Ali, this is Amr, sit down. And again, he makes the announcement. And again, Ali radhiyallahu stands up, and Rasulullah says, take a seat. And again, he makes the announcement. And now when Ali radhiyallahu stands up, Rasulullah places his turban on the head of Ali. There is no one else upon whose head Rasulullah placed his own turban other than Ali. And as Ali is going out to face Amr, Rasulullah says, Kullu Iman, all of Iman is going to face all of Kufr. So again, cleanliness is half of faith. Ali is all of faith. When he goes out, it was famous about Amr that, if he met someone in the battlefield and that someone requested something from him, he would fulfill their request. So Ali says to Amr, first Amr asks Ali, he says, who are you? He says, Ali. So Amr, he says, Ali bin Uthman? He says, no, Ali bin Abi Talib. And so Amr, he says, look, I don't want to fight you because of a favor that your father did to me. Because of that, I don't want to fight you. Ali says, there is no one else to fight you except for me. You have to fight me. So then Ali says, look, he says, I've heard that if an opponent requests something for three things from you, you will fulfill one of those three things. He says, yes. He says, fine. Then my first request from you is to leave. No, actually, he says, no, he says, my first request from you is to accept Islam. And Amr says, no, I'm not willing to do that. He says, fine. He says, then my second request from you is to leave. don't fight, leave. He says, I will not do that because I'm afraid of what the people will say about me. You know, he had to keep what he thought was his honor. Then he says, fine. He says, my third request then is that you fight. So he says to Ali, then he says, fine, you strike first. And Ali says to him, if I strike first, there will be no one left to strike second. Which enrages him, because this is a big shot. Undefeated, 60 battles, never defeated. No one even came close to defeating him. And this, in his mind, this young boy is insulting me like this. So Amr lunges at Ali. And he comes down, and Ali catches his blow on his shield. It dents the shield. And then, but the blow has no other effect. And then Ali comes with Zulfiqar, and he strikes him. And you have to understand, Amr, he's a warrior wearing armor. It's not just, somebody pops out with a sword. He's fully dressed for the occasion. All his armor, everything's intact. He's ready for the fight. When Ali comes down on him, Zulfiqar goes through him, all the way through him, and there was a stone underneath him, a small stone underneath him, and Zulfiqar stuck into the stone. The mark on that stone, at least in the 1970s, was still there. I don't know if they moved it since then or not, because they've destroyed a lot of that stuff in the area. But it was still there. And when the dust settles, of course, when Ali struck, he said, Allahu Akbar. And when the dust settled, and they see that Ali is still standing, all of the Sahaba are Takbir, Allahu Akbar. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says about that blow, about that strike of Ali, he says that if the significance of this strike from Ali was placed in the mizan, on the scales on one end, and all of the good deeds of the whole ummah were placed on the other end, that one blow of Ali would be heavier than everything else. And to be able to have at least some comprehension of why, you look at the moment in time when this takes place. The Confederates is what they define it as, but the coalition was an army of 10,000. This had never happened in Arabia before this. The Arabs couldn't, get together about anything. But they didn't have any issues getting together against the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not just the Arabs, but everybody else joined them as well. 10,000 man army surrounding Medina Munawwara. From every worldly expectation, they should have been annihilated. The Muslims should have been annihilated and nothing left. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with this religion for it to be finished. They have tried through the ages, and they will continue to try, and they are trying today. But again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send this religion to be finished. He sent it to overwhelm everything else. And we see that again. For those who wish to see, it's very apparent. But again, at that time, the Muslims should have been finished. Yet that one blow is heavier than everything else. And this is why after Khandaq, and actually after Badr and after Uhud, after Uhud and Badr, Ridwan, the angel of who is the gatekeeper of Jannah, he came and he said the couplet, La fata illa Ali, La sayfa illa dhul fiqar. That there is no youth except Ali, and there is no sword except dhul fiqar. After Khandaq, Jibreel al-Islam, he says these same words. La fata illa Ali, la sayfa illa dhul fiqar. After Khaybar, Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu incorporates this into some poetry in praise of Ali after permission from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where again he says the same, La fata illa Ali, la sayfa illa dhul fiqar. That there is no youth except Ali, and there is no sword except dhul fiqar. But again, Ali is kullu iman. He is all of iman. He is the distributor of wilayah, of the friendship of Allah. And not just in this ummah, but even in the previous ummahs. There is no wali without Ali. And people, we say this, but we don't think about this. If I look at everyone other than the prophets, whether it's Bibi Maryam salamullah alayha, Bibi Asya salamullah alayha, all of the righteous people that were not prophets, they are what? They are wali. They are the friends of Allah. Who distributed the wilayah to them? Ali. Just like the distributor of the distributor of everything, but the distributor of prophethood is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahu mu'ti wa anil qasim. The hadith is in Bukhari. Of course, those who want to find objection in this, they say, no. See, the hadith is in the book or in the chapter of knowledge, so he's, what it's talking about, Rasulullah saying that he's the distributor of knowledge. But if you look at the statement itself, he doesn't specify what he's the distributor of. He's Allahu mu'ti, Allah is the giver. So whatever Allah is the giver of, وَعَنِ الْقَاسِمِ, Rasulullah is the distributor of that. It was very simple. So if we expect, as far as Ali them being kullu iman, like I said, we could be speaking for hours, but time is I got 2 more minutes. If we expect to understand iman, then we need to know Ali. If we don't know him, then we have no understanding of iman. And that's very simple. Ali's position is very unique. He again, his connection with Rasulullah is also very unique. His progeny through his wife Bibi Fatima salamullah alayha is also very unique. Because they are the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the ones who he took under the cloak and did not allow anyone else to come under the cloak, even the one in whose house the verse was revealed. When Ayat al-Tatir, which is verse 33 of Surah number 33, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says more or less that he intends to purify the household of Rasulullah with a perfect purification. That aspect of that verse is only for these people, because the Rasulullah specified that it is only for them. Because when the verse is revealed, he is in the house of Salma, radiallahu anha, his wife, and he calls his daughter Fatima, radiallahu anha, Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein al-Islam, and he takes them under the cloak and he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent a gift for you. And when the Salma wants to get into the cloak, he says, no, you are good where you are. This is not for you. Another time when he was outside, Bibi Aisha Siddiqa really wanted to get underneath the cloak, and he said to her also, this is not for you. Imam Tahawi, he writes, he says that, when it was not for, when even the one in whose house this verse was revealed, that it was not for her, then how can it be for anyone other than for the ones that Rasulullah took under the cloak? Time's up. Inshallah, we'll talk about other things next week. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill our hearts with His true love and the true love of His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May He give us an understanding of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, and may He give us the true love of the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those who have not made sunnah, go and make sunnah.